Hey everyone, and welcome back to Small Engine Edge. Today we're going to go over how you should set your prices for your small engine repair. Whether you're just starting out or whether you're trying to grow your small engine repair company, if you don't charge the right amount, you're either going to lose customers for charging too much or you're going to lose profit for charging too little. And then you're just going to get burnt out. It's not going to be exciting for you, and you're going to move on. You're not going to want to do small engine repair or grow your business anymore if you're not making any money at it. That's half of the fun of learning and growing the business. I'm going to show you how to price those things and how to keep yourself competitive with other people in the market in today's episode. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button as we go along if you enjoy the content. The first thing you need to consider is your overhead. What does it cost you to do business? What's your rent? What's your utilities? What's your insurance? If you have a lease or rent on a vehicle, what does that cost you each and every month to do those things? What are your supply costs, disposal costs? Things like that are going to all factor into the cost that it takes to run your business. Now, if you don't have overhead, that's great, but you still have the rest of those costs. You should have insurance if you've got vehicle rent or lease, and disposal and chemicals and supplies. You need tools, depreciation on those. All of those things factor into it. You need to figure out exactly what it costs you each month to run your small engine repair business. You can take that full thing and put it into a spreadsheet, list all your expenses. It's very easy to do. Or you can use something like QuickBooks to keep track of it. After a month, take those and divide them into how many work days you have per week. Maybe you only have two on each weekend and you only have 8 days a month that you work. Fine. Maybe you have 20 days a month. You work 5 days a week or 7 days a week. Whatever it is, take that monthly amount and divide it by your amount of work days. That's going to tell you your break-even point every single day that you work. You've got to make $20 or $40 or $60 or $200 even per day, depending on what your overhead is, and that's your break-even mark. If you don't figure everything into that and factor it, you're never going to know whether you're actually making money. It may look good coming in, but you don't realize what's actually going out. Once you realize what that is, it's going to help you kind of plan ahead. Otherwise, you're just going to continue to lose money or not make good money, get burnt out, and then you're going to want to move on to something else. That's not something that any of us want to do. We want to continue to grow in what we do. We want to get the knowledge, and we want to obviously make a profit doing it. Once you learn that, you can factor in other things like your labor. You can factor in how much you want to charge at that point, how much you want to make per actual hour. Your charge that you're charging a customer per hour is going to be way different than what you actually make per hour. Whether you're making more than what you're charging per hour or you're making less, it depends on your skill level. Many skilled mechanics can do or bill an hour to an hour and a half for each hour. Some can even bill more than that. It really depends on how quick you can do things, how efficient you've got, how many tools you have. If you've got tools that make things faster, just because it didn't take you an hour to do it doesn't mean you shouldn't charge the customer to do it. If that's what anybody else would charge, if that's kind of the standard time frame everybody is happy with and agrees with things should be done, charge that amount. Do not charge your actual time of doing it. The only time that does not apply is when you're first starting out. When you don't know exactly what you're doing and things may take you more time because you're learning, that learning curve has to be accounted for. So you only may make half of what you're charging per hour. And that's where it gets difficult because people are saying these hourly rates and maybe they're trying to charge, it took you 2 hours, but really it should have only taken you 45 minutes. You don't charge the customer 2 hours for labor at that point. You charge them what it should have taken. If you set that price beforehand and you kind of figure out exactly how long things are going to take, that's going to help you a lot with being able to price those things a little bit better. I like to price services like tune-ups and stuff as a flat rate or close to it, a small range depending on parts you used, because you can upsell things. If a customer comes in and says, hey, I just want the oil changed, the blade sharpened, check the air filter, you're like, okay, well, if we do a full tune-up on it, it's only going to be, $115 to $125. And most people are like, oh yeah, hey, let's go ahead and do that. So you've just increased your profit by doing a couple more things that only take a very short period of time. Those flat rate things make it very easy to just stack on top of your profit. They make it very easy to upsell. We do a combination of flat rate and then hourly stuff for more difficult repairs. Your drive belts, I'm not a big fan of tires, but tires and spindles and everything else you can do. Full engine rebuilds, you can do heads, you can do head gaskets, or whatever the case is. But we charge hourly for those things. We normally will charge a book rate or the time we know that it should be charged to do that. Sometimes it's going to take a little research until you really realize what those time frames should be. It's not your actual amount of time spent on it. Almost never does anybody charge actual time spent. You're going to charge whatever the book rate is. Of course, there's not a book rate like there is with cars with small engines, but there is an acceptable amount of time to spend on those things. That's what's hard to gauge. And that was what was hard for me to gauge when I first started out too. But as you go, you'll learn exactly how long things take. And normally if something's going to bill for 3 hours, once you're good at it, you should be able to do it in an hour and a half or 2 hours. And you're still going to charge that 3 hours worth of labor though. That does not, your time doing that, many times you lose a lot of money on the office side of things, on the estimate side of things. We've never charged a bench fee or anything like that. I do not believe that you should do the same thing I'm doing there, though. I believe you should charge a bench fee. You should charge some sort of estimate fee. Otherwise, you end up kind of getting the customers who want to bring in something that, hey, I just bought this at a garage sale for $5. Can you figure out what's going on? And it's just a waste of your time. But with those repairs, the way we do it is we'll look at that and say, hey, it's not worth it just looking at it. You can buy something like this for $79 at Lowe's. It's not worth repair. We don't worry too much about that because we're not going to spend a bunch of time tracing those things down. When it comes to deeper repairs or deeper diagnosis, we do charge for those things. So if I'm going to do a leak down test on a chainsaw, I'm not going to do that for free. I'm going to say, hey, I think it may have an issue with this. You may have some leaky seals. You may have whatever the case may be, but I'm not actually going to go through that 45 minutes of diagnostics to tell the customer exactly what's going on for no charge. I am going to charge for that and make sure they're okay if that's what's going on, that they're going to cover the cost of that. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time, you're wasting your money, and you're not making as much money as you could be by doing other repairs. Price your diagnostics. I like to start low. If you're just starting out, you may even do free diagnostics starting out. $15 to $25 is plenty starting out. Most of the big guys now are charging anywhere from $35 to $55 as a bench fee, just to get it up and give you an estimate. Some people don't like that much. Others are perfectly happy with paying somebody for their time to diagnosis. Now to actual labor rates. What is the exact labor rate you should be charging? First thing you need to do is do a little bit of research and figure out what everybody else around your area is charging. Your price is not going to be the same in rural Alabama as it is going to be in Chicago suburbs. There are higher costs of living in different areas. If you're in an area where it's a low cost of living, $45 to $65 starting out may be a good wage for you. That may be a good price to charge per hour for small engine repair. If you're in the Chicago suburbs or in New York suburbs or wherever, you should be charging a much higher rate than in those rural areas because your overhead is going to be higher. Your cost of living is going to be higher. You need more money to survive in those places, and that drives price. That's where you need to first start off. See what everybody else is charging. If you don't know anything yet, start off at half that. Start off at $45 or $55 an hour. Try to do things for as little as possible for customers as you're learning. If you're just starting out. But if you're pretty skilled and you've been doing it for a few years and you know at least the basics of everything you're doing, you can do estimates, you can diagnose pretty much everything, charge a much higher rate than that most times. You're going to want to charge $65 to $85 an hour. I would definitely not charge less than $65 an hour if you are skilled in what you do. If you've been doing it for a couple years and you're good at diagnostics, you're good at repairs, do not charge less than $65 an hour. And I don't care where you're at. That price is going to be sustained anywhere in the U.S., of course. I don't know much about Canada or other countries, so if you live there, hey, cheers to you, but I don't know a bunch about the prices in those areas. The US is pretty well, a lot of the southern areas are going to be cheaper cost of living, but as soon as you get close to big towns, that's when you get those price increases, tax increases in different places. I'm in Illinois, one of the highest tax states out there. Our rates are going to be a lot higher than those in those rural areas. We charge $95 an hour for most things now, anywhere between 85 and 95, depending on what it is. But many of the big guys out here, they're charging anywhere from 125 to 145 an hour. That seems kind of outrageous to me, but hey, we don't have as much overhead as them either. And if the market sustains it, that's all that matters. If you are bombarded with work and you're only charging $45 an hour, there's a reason that you're bombarded with that work. You're not charging enough money. If you're starting out and you're trying to grow and grow and grow, maybe keep it low for the very first bit and then slowly raise it 5 or 10% a year. Nobody is even going to notice. Those customers that were to you last year or the year before, they're not even going to notice you raised it 5 or 10%. Next thing you know, 5 years down the road, you're 50% more profit. It's very easy to raise those things gradually, other than saying, hey, we just went from $45 an hour, now we're charging $75 an hour. But even if you were to raise it, if you were only charging $35 an hour and now you want to get to 55, if you do a couple, 10 or 15% during the spring, right before spring starts, 10 or 15% before the winter, most people aren't going to notice that much either. The cost of living and the cost of goods, the cost of everything over the last couple of years, a lot of it's doubled. It's been kind of crazy, but figure out what your local markets can support. You may find some of the smaller guys, look at their labor rates. I guarantee you they're going to be $75 to $95 an hour. Most people are. Anybody who has an overhead that has an actual commercial building and it's not a residential place or something that's beside their house or something like that, they're going to be charging those types of rates. Do not sell yourself short and charge $35 an hour. That's just you're never going to make any money doing that, or not make as much money as you could. Sure, the customers may be extremely happy because you're ripping yourself off, but it's just kind of silly to do, in my opinion. Now that you know your overhead cost and you know the competitive market rates that you can set in your area, then you can actually set your pricing. You can still set it in many different ways. You can do package pricing such as tune-ups. You can do standard pricing, say, hey, they need a carb queen on a push mower. Well, we charge X amount. Normally on something like that, instead of charging a set price as far as an hourly rate, you charge just a set price as far as a cleaning carburetor rate. Just that service costs this amount. And once you continue to go on, you can learn what those different things are. Carburetor cleaning costs this. I know it's going to take about 45 minutes. I'm going to charge a full hour worth of labor and a little bit of more money for supplies because you're going to need to put it in the ultrasonic or use carburetor cleaner or X, Y, and Z as far as additional costs may go. So price it like that. And then standard labor rate, you have a standard hourly rate. Most places do anyway. Pick out a standard hourly rate that you're charging, and then your package pricing. Those are things that you can use for upsales, or you can use for discounts if you are having a lull and you need some extra income. Hey, we're having a preseason tune-up special, $99, whatever the case may be. But figure that into your hourly rate. How long does it take you to do that? Many people for tune-ups are charging just a ridiculously low amount. But when we do tune-ups and when you do tune-ups, you can offer this to customers and maybe at a higher rate and tell them, hey, our turnaround's good. Hey, our services are good. Maybe you include a carburetor cleaning, a quick bowl clean out, or whatever you want to do that's going to add extra value and make those customers choose those services over just a standard blade sharpening and oil change that they would normally choose. Definitely not going to charge an hourly rate for blade sharpening. If you were to do that, you'd get maybe $2 or $3 per blade. You should be charging anywhere between $8 and $15 to sharpen a blade. What we do is we charge $10 if it's off the mower per blade and $12 if it's still on the mower. A little bit more work, takes a little bit more time, a little bit more liability is involved there, so you can justify that cost because you've got to remove and reinstall the blade. Standard labor rates, if you're a guy working out of his garage or somebody who hasn't been doing it for long or is just starting out, between $45 and $75 is a very good price to start and do a little bit of learning, get that learning going with a little bit of a learning curve, but still make a decent profit. Do not charge under $45. There's no reason to do that. I don't care what kind of market you're in. Once you learn for a couple years or have more experience, anywhere between $75 and $100 is going to be supported by pretty well any market out there. And you're going to be the most affordable in almost every place out there. Again, look at what your local market has. But if you keep it a little bit below what the big guys have, as long as you're skilled, people are going to flock to you. They're going to be continuing to come in to your business, and you're going to be able to grow it very quickly if you sustain those prices at those levels. Offer something that the competitors don't offer, as mentioned before. But even if you're not doing that, as long as you're doing good work, people are going to keep coming back. They're going to keep wanting to pay you for that service that you're offering them. You're helping them out by fixing their equipment that others may take longer to do. They may not do as good of a job. They may not clean it as well. Whatever the case is, offer that service. And as long as you're providing a good service, they will continue to come back. I will go ahead and put some of our prices and the recommendations for different standard flat rate services, different standard hourly rates, what we charge for different things kind of as a flat rate as opposed to an hourly rate down below. Don't forget to watch some of our other videos on different mistakes that have been made, different things that I'll put right up in the corner there for you. We have a lot of videos out there on starting this small engine repair company and things that I think will help all of you as you continue to grow. There is a lot that goes into pricing structure. Unfortunately, I can't answer the exact question for each and every one of you, but if you use these things and you find your market rate, you find your overhead, and you figure out that sweet spot in between and price by standard services, hourly rate, and actual packages, then you're going to be able to figure out exactly what you should be charging for each thing as you go. If you have any specific questions, let me know down below. If you're a guy out behind his garage only working a couple days a week, that doesn't change any of this. You should still be charging these same rates. You shouldn't be short selling yourself just because you're a fly-by-weekend guy. You may still be learning, so maybe you're trying to lower it a little bit to gather more customers. But if you've actually got a business set up, that's one of the main things that people will pay more for. Set up a business, have a business name, because if you don't, people just see some random guy behind their garage doing small engine repair. That's not what they want to pay for. They want to see a business, see that you're taking it seriously. So that's one of the things that will increase your prices. If you're not already, or you're having a hard time getting in at certain prices, start a business, have a business name, and do a DBA or LLC or whatever the case. But that's going to increase your profit and drive people to your business because it is then an actual business. Tell me some of your challenges down below. If you need any help with this or anything else, or have any other video ideas, don't forget to mention those. And again, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoyed the content. I appreciate you watching. I'm here to help. Keep dreaming big, keep going large, and continue to grow both personally and professionally while you're doing your business.